So there's a lot of lenders out there right now giving out estimates that look amazing. They look too good to be true. That's because they are. If you get an estimate and the rate looks really low compared to what you're hearing in the market, be very leery. There are lots of things on these estimates that need to be reviewed, and a lot of them are not very transparent. So let's talk about that. What could be happening there? Okay, I'm going to give you some ideas. First of all, there's a lot going on in the market right now where lenders, and this is not a bad thing as long as you know what you're getting and you understand it and you're very well aware of how it works versus thinking it's something else, right? So the first thing that I'm seeing a lot of is lenders quoting adjustable rate mortgages, or what we call an ARM. And again, there's nothing wrong with an ARM as long as you understand what you're getting and how it's going to work. And what I'm seeing a lot of is what's called a 2-1 buy down, or a 2-1 ARM, which technically it's basically giving you the first year a couple points, a couple percent rate lower than the going rate. So if the rate today was 5.5, then on a 2-1 buy down, the first year it would be 3.5. Then on the second year, it would go 1% lower than the original rate. So now it's 4.5. So first year, 3.5%, second year, 4.5%, and then the third year and every year thereafter, it would go back to a 5.5% interest rate. So that seems really great. We get to get into the home and we have this lower payment, and now we can afford the house and everything's great. What could go wrong with that? Well, what I see a lot of, because this was a very common thing back when rates were higher, we've been seeing this for many years since rates have been low. We haven't needed a 2-1 buy down in the market. There would be no reason to have it. But what we're seeing now is people are feeling the pinch of the affordability, right? The home prices keep going up, interest rates are going up. So the home prices and the interest rates both rising like that caused the payment to be higher than maybe you were planning for when you first started looking for a home. So what lenders do in this type of an environment is try to come out with a product that can take care of that problem for you and still help them close loans and move the market forward. So again, nothing wrong with it, but what can go wrong, where I see it can go wrong, is you get really comfortable with that payment that first year. Then you get a raise on that payment. Then the third year, the payment's much higher than you started. And now you're not really in the, you haven't been accustomed to that budgeting for that kind of a payment. So I would say if you're going to do something like this, I would absolutely recommend you make the full payment to yourself, the full higher payment, put the difference aside for a rainy day, start storing that money aside, and then send the lower amount to your lender. So that's one way to not get stung on that third year with this payment that you're not comfortable making and you haven't been making. The second thing is make sure that your budget is very comfortable with that new higher payment. It's not a stretch, and you're not thinking, oh, you know what, because I think I'm going to get a raise and I'm probably going to be able to save more money, and I hope this and probably that. That's what makes me nervous. A lot of people go into these types of loans with, high hopes and great ideas and plans, and they don't always come to fruition. In fact, sometimes it goes the other direction. You didn't have kids when you bought a home, and now you have a baby with new expenses. Maybe your income had a lot of overtime before or bonus, and now you don't. Things like that you need to consider and make sure you have a buffer for that higher payment. The second thing that I'm seeing a lot of is just lenders quoting basic ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages. So you get this payment and this rate and it looks phenomenal, but then when you really look at it, you realize it's only fixed for a period of time, like a 5-year ARM or a 7-year ARM or even a 3-year ARM. So if that's the case, keep in mind that the payment you're getting into that home with and that you're planning on making and you're comfortable with is going to be short-lived. And then eventually, once that adjustable period kicks in and the fixed period is gone, you're now going to have a higher payment, and that higher payment will continue to adjust throughout the life of the loan. It's not like it adjusts once and then you're done. So ARMs are not a terrible thing. Again, I don't have a problem with ARMs. If you understand how it's going to work, you could afford that higher payment very comfortably, and you're simply using this product to enable you to save money because you're going to leverage that cash and do other things with it, not because it's, you're right down to the wire on how much you're going to have per month. And this is going to be the thing that gets you into the home. And once it goes up, you can't afford it anymore. That's what makes me nervous about these ARM products. So just be very careful at what you're looking at. If you want a unbiased third party to step in and help you look at any estimates you've received, or, we'd love to be your lender and create a very transparent strategy that we do with you that meets your needs once we understand what your goals are. Maybe you're only going to live in the home a few years and you have a definite plan to move on and you're able to do that. And if that's the case and we know how that's going to look and that you're going to be prepared to do that, then it might make sense. But you have to be careful because, again, 3 years goes like that, 5 years goes like that, and the next thing you know, you're in an adjustment period that maybe you weren't ready for. Potentially rates could go down in a year or two and you could refinance out of that ARM. But again, that's a gamble and we don't know that that's going to happen. So I just would want to make sure that anybody taking on a loan like that understands all of the parameters, everything that could happen with that loan, and they're comfortable no matter what those changes might be on that payment. So if you have questions, you want to get pre-approved, you want to look at different loan types, and you want to kick around the idea of an ARM or a 2-1 buy down or a fixed loan and what the different options are, we'd love to help you with that. There's one last strategy that I really like. It's not necessarily a temporary situation, it's a permanent solution. And that's that right now homes are selling a little bit below asking, or sellers are even contributing into those closing costs. And maybe we could get the seller, and we're seeing a lot of this. We're closing a lot of deals like this in the last couple of months where we have the seller help, they kick in towards closing costs, and then you can do what's called a permanent buy down. So you actually buy that interest rate down permanently for the full 30 years, fixed payment, not a temporary buy down period. And that is something I actually really do like. I feel like it's a great long-term solution, especially if you can get the seller to pay for it. So if you have questions and you want to put together a plan, give us a call. Michelle.oddo, the Oddo Group, Illuminate Home Loans.